name is Morgan Grossenbacher, and I will be talking about the connections between the Articles of Confederation and the Constitution of 1787. These are pictures of the written documents, the Articles of Confederation on the right and the Constitution of 1787 on the left. My thesis states that the Articles of Confederation lacked in many areas of the control of the United States, which led to the writing of the Constitution of 1787. What are the Articles of Confederation? According to the Articles of Confederation, the Articles of Confederation was the first Constitution of the United States. The Articles of Confederation were written in 1776 due to the need for a natural government. The Articles were worked on for a very long time span and took about 5 years to get approved by all 13 states. Referencing the Articles of Confederation, it placed all of the power of the national government in the Congress. The Congress was in charge and were able to make all of the decisions. The article also provided no permanent national judiciary, even though Congress was overseeing everything that was going on. Overall, the Articles of Confederation placed all of the power of the national government into Congress. Pictures of the written document provided by the U.S. Capitol states that the name of the Confederacy shall be the United States of America. The Articles of Confederation is what the United States was built on and was where it began. The Articles were a written document that states abided by. It also states that 13 states were involved in this agreement. Here's a short video clip that explains the Articles of Confederation.
In the U.S., we love our Constitution. But it wasn't always this way. Before the Constitution and government we have today, we had a sort of prototype constitution called the Articles of Confederation, which created a nation of independent states only loosely linked together by a single Congress. The Founding Fathers intentionally designed a nation with a very weak central government. There was no judicial branch, no executive branch, so there was no president, which when you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. You know, the colonists had just been through a really bad breakup with the British king, and they're not about to get back together with a government who looked just like their ex, okay? We've all made that mistake before, okay? You go and date a girl like the last girl you dated, you're gonna get hurt, okay? Don't do this to yourself. The Congress, which was just a single chamber with a delegate from every state, did have some power, like the authority to make treaties and alliances, maintain an army, and coin money. But they couldn't levy the taxes to pay for those things. In fact, under the Articles of Confederation, paying federal taxes was voluntary for the states, who of course were like, no thanks, we're good. The US had borrowed money from European investors and nations to pay for the Revolutionary War, but with no power to tax, the United States couldn't pay back any of those debts, creating a huge economic disaster by 1787. With no funds and limited power, the central government couldn't do much to protect peace at home. This became abundantly clear during Shays' Rebellion in 1786, when farmers in Massachusetts violently protested against the state's high taxes. So if the Articles of Confederation weren't working, why didn't they just make changes to it? Well, it was practically impossible. Amendments to the Articles needed unanimous consent, and the delegates from the 13 states had more opinions than a YouTube comment section. By the way, you should comment on this video right now. Say something nice about it. This weak Congress and a broke, ineffective federal government eventually proved to be too much of a burden on the United States. Because when 13 different state governments held all the power, nothing was getting accomplished. The Founding Fathers found this out the hard way. So they went back to the drawing board, drafting a new and improved Constitution, which is still the law of our land today.
The Constitution of 1787 was a revision of the Articles of Confederation. According to Creating the United States from LOC.gov, Rufus King brought up the idea to change or revise the Articles of Confederation. Then, in early 1786, George Washington recognized that the Articles of Confederation needed to be revised. In the article, What is the U.S. Constitution?, it talks about how the Constitution was written on September 17, 1787. It separates the power of the government into 3 branches: the legislative branch, which makes the laws; the executive branch, which executes the laws, and the judicial branch, which interprets the laws. The Constitution of 1787 gives freedom to the people that live in the United States. The idea of freedom was one of the biggest concepts in the new Constitution. It also placed a lot of the rights in the hands of the citizens. The citizens were involved in the government, and this was a very big difference than what was written in the Articles. Here's another video clip that explains the Constitution of 1786.
The Constitution of the United States, the supreme law of the nation, consisting of 7 articles and 27 amendments. The document was drafted by the Constitutional Convention held in Philadelphia in the year 1787. This was a time of turmoil for the newly formed federal government as citizens expressed dissatisfaction with the government's lack of authority to pass laws for the entire nation. Prominent statesmen issued repeated warnings that the future of the Union was in danger and revision of the government was needed. An unexpected solution came in 1786 from a convention of representatives of 5 states meeting in Annapolis, Maryland, to establish uniform trade regulations for the 13 states. That convention called for all states to send delegates to a separate convention for this declared purpose: to devise such further provisions as shall appear to them necessary to render the Constitution of the federal government adequate to the exigencies of the Union. The proposal was endorsed by Congress in February 1787, and the Constitutional Convention convened 3 months later with 55 delegates representing 12 states. Rhode Island refused to send delegates out of fear that increased federal regulation would injure the state's successful trade industry. George Washington was named president of the convention, which was in continuous session for 16 weeks, establishing a government of limited and delegated powers. On September 17, 1787, 39 delegates signed the Constitution and sent it to the Congress of the Confederation. On September 28th, Congress sent the Constitution to the states for ratification, as Article 7 of the document required ratification by 2/3 of the states before the Constitution could become law. A bitter struggle ensued, with small farmers and artisans chief among those opposing ratification. Many favored a confederation of sovereign states, while others were concerned with safeguarding citizens' fundamental rights. These concerns were later addressed in the first 10 amendments. Rhode Island was the final state to ratify the Constitution, and did so only after Congress threatened to regard it as a foreign nation.
Now that you know what the Articles of Confederation were written about and what the Constitution of 1787 was written about, then I can talk about some connections between the two documents. One main connection between the two documents was where the power was placed. The Articles of Confederation were written first, and the Constitution of 1787 followed it. The article, what is the U.S. Constitution, states that the power was divided between the states and the federal government. The Constitution was a revision of the Articles of Confederation. The Articles put all of the power in the federal government, but that did not work out. This is why the Constitution was written, to fix those mistakes. The new Constitution divided up the power. Another connection is between how the presidents or leaders were elected. In the Articles of Confederation, the decision-making went to a random person in Congress. They didn't have to be elected or chosen specifically. It was just a person that was involved with Congress at that time. They would oversee the court, but did not have any board executive powers. Once again, the Constitution changed these ideas and rewrote them in the new Constitution. As it states in the article, "What is the U.S. Constitution?" the new Constitution had systems for electing representatives. This meant that only qualified and elected people could run certain parts of the government and country. In the audio record of the Constitution of the United States of America, Section 1 states that all legislative powers must be in a Congress of the United States, which shall consist of a Senate and a House of Representatives. The next connection is between the branches of the judiciary. First, the Articles of Confederation, says that the Articles provide for no permanent national judiciary, although the Congress was given sole jurisdiction in matters of boundary disputes between states, and as parts of the war powers, it was given the power to create court to determine cases. The Constitution of 1787 was different from this. The Constitution provided 3 different branches of the judiciary system. All of these branches helped organize the system of laws. The last connection between the Articles of Confederation and the Constitution of 1787 is the cause of problems in the United States. According to the article titled "The Articles of Confederation," the farmers of the Constitution believed that the Articles of Confederation's constraint on national power was the primary cause of the nation's problems. The farmers designed a new government that would effectively raise revenue, settle the nation's debt, and resolve the domestic and foreign problems in the nation. This shows how the Articles of Confederation were not the best constitution for the country to abide by. This is why the Constitution had to make a revision to the existing document, and the revisions made to the document were put together into a new document, the Constitution of 1787.